servicing is the way it is because of things that have historically been true. So can you kind of characterize, like, when you're doing servicing, like, why is it hard? What are the reasons why sort of a rigid set of construct is a valuable way to do it, even if it comes with drawbacks?
Yeah, I think it goes into almost like a network effect type of situation, which is that for every additional rule or variation you introduce to the system, it creates hundreds of permutations around edge cases that open up risk that most systems don't have visibility for, don't test for. And when you're dealing with highly regulated products, you just are like, I'd rather not go there. I'd rather just this work the way that it should, make sure that it sticks up to the regulations. And so COBOL as a technology, which is how most of these systems were originally written in, is great. It calculates things really well. There's nothing wrong with the language that old systems are. So just because someone says they're API first or they're modern doesn't make them better. Didn't you just actually tweet? Didn't you just tweet about something like this?
I did, yeah. And COBOL was in my head actually, because I was like, COBOL works, man. I mean, it does great.
Yeah,
It's
I was like,
pretty
I think I just saw, right. I agree. Like, I completely agree with you. Like, it is, um, it like lightning fast issuing is such a great way, a great example that you gave. And there's nothing wrong with COBOL. And my original blog post announcing Canopy was about like standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, I have a great respect for the work that people have done, back in the 50s to create really hard math calculations and get the same consistency again and again and again. Like, has to be consistent. Now, the thing that gets really, really difficult is that for most fintechs who don't have, aged vintages, like it hasn't seasoned out yet, you don't know what is going to happen in year 2, in year 3. What happens when this cohort stops paying, underpays, overpays, pays partial, and then refunds this thing? All of these unexpected edge case behaviors start to come up. And it's in the infrequent but highly profound in terms of negative impact that these systems have to perform. So you mentioned the loan modification for disaster relief. That's a very infrequent activity, but the system has to be able to do it legally. And if you can't do these sort of trial modifications where you're like pausing some interest, giving another, you're going to go under. Like, it's just like that you can't have that. You're dealing with people's money movement. Like, I talk to my team about this all the time. Like, it's not Facebook. It's not like you can just roll out something on the news feed. Maybe it breaks, maybe it doesn't. People don't like it, and then you roll it back. You're dealing with money movement. You're dealing with people's finances. You cannot double debit over, double pay something. It has to be accurate to, the actual penny of what this is. And for most products, the timeline continues. So it's like, at Earnest, when we were buying people's loans, we would buy your loan, but they had a 10-day payoff. So 10 days for me to pay your bank and get your loan. Well, guess what is happening in those 10 days? Interest is accruing. And so by the time that we got your amount, the system was already wrong. And so that's why it's so difficult, because you're dealing with time in the future, time in the past, all of this activity that has happened. You haven't actually like understood all of the borrower behavior because you're typically a new lending product. And so how can you even test for things that you don't even, like, you don't know what you don't know? And that's where like these old systems have built out a very large set of abilities, but they're not proactively searching for new ones. Like they're pretty much like, okay, we did our piece. This is what you get. And that's why it's so anxiety inducing to make any changes, because you have no idea what it's going to break. And so when you have the flexibility of the rules and policies that Canopy enables, we're also proactively running like synthetic use cases consistently in our QA and UAT environment before it even gets into production, because we're testing for all of these edge cases that hasn't even happened yet. And then we're incorporating those proactively back into our system.